It started with a knock. Sharp, repetitive, desperate. 4:03 a.m. I was half asleep, curled in the corner of my old couch, a script I wasn't sure I'd ever audition for slipping from my fingers. I thought I was dreaming. Thought maybe the wind had rattled the windows again. But then it came again, louder, urgent, like whoever was on the other side of the door wasn't just knocking. They were asking for something they didn't have the right to ask for. I stood, heart already pounding, half expecting a neighbor, a delivery mistake, some pathetic excuse for a break-in. But when I opened the door, she was there. Sophia Lennox, my ex-director, my ex-tormentor, the woman who made me and unmade me in the same breath. She stood swaying in a too-expensive coat, hair a mess, lipstick smudged, heels in her hand. Barefoot. Drunk. Devastating. "You're still beautiful when you're angry," she slurred. I froze. My mouth opened. Closed. I hadn't seen her in 2 years. Not since she pulled me into her office after rehearsal, told me I wasn't right for the role anymore, that producers were nervous about my attitude, and that maybe I needed time to reevaluate my path. I remembered every word, every silence, every breath she didn't take as I crumbled. "What the hell are you doing here?" I asked, my voice cold. Too calm. She leaned against the doorframe, eyes glossy. I didn't know where else to go. "That's not my problem." "I know," she said. "But I thought maybe it could be." I almost laughed. "Is this a joke to you? You show up drunk at my place in the middle of the night and think what? That I'd what? Let you in? Let you explain? Let you touch me again like you didn't set fire to everything I built?" I didn't mean to, don't. I stepped back, about to slam the door. But she caught it. Fast. Strong, even drunk. Her fingers wrapped around the edge like she still had the right. "Please," she whispered. "Just 5 minutes." 5 minutes to do what? Tell you the truth. Now you want to tell the truth? "I'm sorry. Not good enough." "Then let me try again." I stared at her, at the brokenness in her eyes, at the ache hiding under all that alcohol and power and shame. And like a fool, I stepped aside, just enough for her to stumble in. She dropped her heels at the door. Her coat slid off her shoulder. And suddenly she was standing in the middle of my apartment like no time had passed. Like she still belonged here. "It wasn't you," she said. "That night, when I let them push you out, it wasn't because of your performance. Or your attitude. It was because," she stopped. Looked at me. Really looked. "It was because I was afraid I was falling in love with you. And they knew. Everyone could see it. I was reckless. And you were brilliant. And I knew if I didn't let you go, I'd lose control completely." My chest tightened. "You did it to protect yourself." "Yes. So you chose your reputation over me. I chose survival over truth. But I never stopped thinking about you. Every role I cast, every scene I direct. I see you. I hear your voice in my head." She stepped closer. "I've been drinking since midnight. Thinking about the way you used to look at me. The way your mouth tasted the night we kissed behind the stage door. Do you remember that?" "Of course I do," I whispered. "You said I was the only thing that ever scared you. You still are." Her hand reached out. Barely. Hesitating. "Don't," I warned. "If you touch me right now, I won't be able to pretend I hate you anymore." She dropped her hand. Her eyes burned. "Maybe I want you to stop pretending. Maybe I can't." We stood there, silence thick between us, our history pulling us closer like gravity. "Why now?" I asked. "Why come here tonight?" "Because I saw your name on a shortlist for a new project. Something big. Something I don't deserve to be part of. But the moment I saw your name, I knew I'd never forgive myself if I didn't at least try to tell you the truth." "You ruined me," I said. "And I haven't stopped wanting you since." She let out a breath, like she'd been holding it for years. "Then hate me tomorrow," she whispered. "But let me stay tonight." I didn't answer. I just stepped closer. Just close enough to feel her breath, her heartbeat, her regret. And for one stupid second, I remembered what it felt like to be hers, to belong to the hands that destroyed me. And I knew This story wasn't over. Not yet. She didn't speak when the door clicked shut behind her. Didn't move. Just stood there in the dim light of my apartment, arms at her sides, chest rising too fast, like just being near me again made it hard to breathe. I watched her for a long moment, watched the woman who once whispered promises in my ear backstage, and then tore them apart with one sentence in front of a table full of producers. Her coat had slipped off completely now, lying crumpled by the door like it had given up trying to protect her. The silk blouse underneath clung to her in a way that made me furious for noticing. Her lipstick was smeared, not from kissing, not yet, but from whatever pain she'd been drinking all night. And still, she looked like the woman I used to dream about. And the woman I still did, when I let my guard down long enough. "You said you didn't know where else to go," I finally said. My voice was quieter than I meant it to be. "Why not someone else? Why not one of your powerful friends? One of the producers you chose over me? Because none of them ever looked at me the way you did," she whispered. "Like I was real. You stopped being real to me the night you let them cut me loose." "I know." She stepped forward. "And I let them because I was a coward. Because I didn't know what to do with the way I felt when you looked at me on stage. You were too bright, too alive. And I was terrified of how much I wanted you. So you destroyed me instead?" "No," she said quickly. "I destroyed myself. You were just collateral." I laughed. Bitter. "You don't get to make yourself the victim in this." "I'm not," she said, taking another step closer. "I'm just broken. And I didn't know how to love you without burning everything else to the ground." "You didn't have to love me," I said, shaking. "You just had to protect me. You had the power. You had the room. You had my trust." She winced. "And I broke all of it." "Yes. But I never stopped wanting you," she whispered. "Even when I watched you walk out of that rehearsal room for the last time. Even when I heard you got dropped from the callback. Even when I saw your name vanish from the project board like you'd never existed. I still wanted you. Still craved you. Then why did you let them erase me? Because they told me if I didn't let you go, they'd cut us both. And I was too weak to fall with you. So I pushed you first." The silence between us pulsed like a heartbeat. She was close now. Too close. Her eyes flicked to my lips like she was remembering their taste. "You're still so angry," she said softly. "I should be." "I don't want you to forgive me," she said. "I just want to know if you still feel it. If it's still there when I'm this close to you." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because the answer was yes. It had always been yes. She reached up, slowly, and brushed her fingers across the side of my neck. I flinched, not because I didn't want it, but because I did. So much it hurt. "Don't," I whispered. "Please," she said. "Just once." "You don't get to ask." "I'm not asking," she breathed. "I'm begging." And then her lips were on mine. Soft. Broken. Familiar in the way nightmares can be beautiful when you miss them. I kissed her back before I could stop myself. My hands curled into her shirt. My breath caught in my throat. She tasted like wine and regret. And I wanted every drop. She gasped into my mouth when I pulled her closer. Her body folded into mine like she remembered every inch. Like she'd never stopped. "You shouldn't be here," I whispered against her lips. "But you still want me. I hate you for that." "Then hate me with your hands." And I did. I pushed her back against the wall, kissed her hard, deep, desperate. She moaned into my mouth like she was trying to apologize with her tongue. And maybe she was. Her hands found my hips, my spine, the hem of my shirt. "Let me feel you," she whispered. "Let me remember what it was like to belong to something real." "You never belonged to me," I said, breathless. But I wanted to. Her shirt came off first, then mine. Skin to skin, we remembered too much. We made out like teenagers, kissed like people who had bled for this. And when I pulled her to the couch, her eyes filled with something she didn't say, something that almost looked like love. "Tell me you don't feel it," she said. "Tell me, and I'll leave." I couldn't, so I kissed her instead. Harder. She cried when she came, softly, into my neck. like she hadn't been touched in years by someone who actually knew her. I held her through it, let her break, let her become human again. When it was over, we lay side by side, breathing, shaking, quiet. She reached for my hand. I didn't stop her. If I asked for one more night, she said, without hate, without blame, just us, would you let me stay? I turned my head, looked her in the eyes. Only if you mean it. I do, she said. But I'm afraid I only mean it when I'm here. With you. Like this. Then don't leave, I whispered. Not yet. And she didn't. Not that night. Not for a long, long time. She was still asleep when I woke up. Her back turned, hair tangled across the pillow, one arm stretched toward the empty side of the bed like she'd reached for me in her sleep. And for a second, just one, I let myself pretend. Pretend that we were something soft, something earned, something that hadn't been carved out of betrayal. Her skin was warm under the sheet, bare from the night before. The same body that once paced backstage with impossible authority now curled small beside me, quiet and open and too damn human. I sat up slowly. My chest ached. The air smelled like sweat and regret. My clothes were scattered across the floor like proof of weakness, of surrender, of something I hadn't planned to give her again. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you. She shifted slightly, a sleepy sound slipping from her lips. A whisper. My name. Not loud, not intentional, just a murmur in the dark. But it pierced through me. I stood, pulled on a shirt, moved through the apartment like I didn't still feel her on my skin. I made coffee. Black, bitter, familiar. She found me in the kitchen 20 minutes later, wearing one of my shirts. Too long on her. Bare legs, bare face. Eyes soft and unsure in the morning light. You're awake, I said without turning. Yeah. Do you remember last night? She came closer, slow, every second. Then you know that can't happen again. She didn't answer right away. I heard the sound of her breath catch behind me. You mean the sex, she finally said. I mean the lie. She leaned against the counter. It didn't feel like a lie. That's because you're used to rewriting truth to fit your comfort. That's not fair. Isn't it? I turned to her. You came here drunk, uninvited, after 2 years of silence. 2 years of me rebuilding my life without your name attached to mine. And in one night, one kiss, you think you can pick up where we left off. I didn't come here to manipulate you. No, I said. You came because you couldn't stand feeling like you lost me. I did lose you. You gave me away. Her jaw clenched. I made a mistake. You made a choice. And now I'm trying to fix it. By crawling into my bed? By being honest. For once. She stepped forward, eyes burning. Do you think I didn't hate myself every single day after I let you walk out? Do you think I didn't watch every project you almost booked, every role they told me you were too emotional for? I heard your name whispered in rooms and I stayed quiet because I thought I didn't deserve to speak it. You didn't. But I still whispered it. Every time I was alone. Her voice cracked. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect a second chance. But I need you to know that when I touched you last night, it wasn't about guilt. It was about everything I never got to say. I stared at her. She looked so out of place in my home, but she also looked more real than I'd ever seen her. What now? I asked. You disappear again? Not unless you ask me to. I should. But you won't. Don't be so sure. She stepped even closer. Because you still want me. That doesn't mean I trust you. Then let me earn it. How? I snapped. You think one apology and a night of sex fixes 2 years of silence? No, she said. But maybe it's a start. We were inches apart now. Her fingers twitched like she wanted to reach for me. You told me to let you stay the night, she said. What if I asked to stay longer? What, like play pretend? Like we're lovers instead of a lesson? Like we're two people trying to figure out if the damage can be undone? Can it? I asked. I don't know, she whispered. But I can't stop wanting to try. My hands trembled. My chest ached. I hated her. I wanted her. I remembered her body under mine, her mouth gasping my name. I remembered the press release they sent out 2 days after they replaced me. I remembered the way she avoided my eyes at the wrap party. But I also remembered her hands on my face. Her voice, saying I'm sorry like it broke something in her throat. And I didn't know which version of her was real. 1 week, I said. She blinked. What? You want to stay? You get 1 week. 1 week to prove that I'm not just a name you whisper when it's convenient. 1 week to show me you actually meant any of what you said. She stared at me like I'd given her air in the middle of drowning. I won't waste it. Don't make promises you've already broken once. Then I'll make new ones, she said. And I'll keep them. And even though I didn't want to believe her, part of me already did. She didn't try to kiss me that first day. Didn't reach for my hand. Didn't slip behind me while I washed dishes or graze my hip as I passed her in the hallway. She kept her distance. But her eyes didn't. Her eyes touched me more than her fingers ever had. I could feel them trailing across my skin when I walked past in a tank top, when I tied my hair up, when I leaned over the table to grab something. She watched like she was starving. And I let her. Maybe that was my first mistake. The second day, I came home to find her cooking. Badly. The kitchen smelled like burnt garlic and regret. She was barefoot again, wearing another one of my shirts. Her hair was damp from the shower, and when she turned to look at me, I saw the panic in her eyes. You cook now? I asked, dropping my bag. I tried. I think I insulted your stove. I walked over, peeked into the pan. You murdered that pasta. It was self-defense. I raised an eyebrow. Against what? The silence. Her voice dropped, softer now. It's hard being here without touching you. Then don't. I'm trying, she said, to respect you. You didn't respect me when it mattered. She flinched, then nodded. I deserved that. You deserve more than that. She looked up. You still think I deserve anything? I think you're still in my house. So that means I'm not sure what I think. She smiled, but it was sad. Small. Can we eat on the couch? If you don't poison me. No promises. We sat in silence. Half laughs. Small bites. And every so often, she looked at me like she wanted to crawl across the cushions and beg me to kiss her again. But she didn't. And that made it worse. That night, I couldn't sleep. I heard her moving in the guest room. Heard the sound of a drawer opening. A sigh. Then silence. I found her the next morning sitting on the fire escape with a blanket around her shoulders and her knees pulled to her chest. You always wake up this early? I asked, stepping out beside her. Only when I'm afraid the dream is over. I sat next to her. Close. But not touching. Did you dream about me? Always. That's a problem. I know. Because when I dream about you, I said, I usually wake up angry. I'd take angry over nothing. Careful what you wish for. I don't wish, she said. Not anymore. I've spent too long pretending I don't want things I can't have. What do you want now? You. My breath caught. She didn't reach for me. Didn't beg. Just said it like a fact. A quiet truth that didn't need an audience. And somehow, that honesty wrecked me more than any apology. Why now? I asked. Why do you suddenly want to be real? Because the world didn't feel right without your name in it. Without your voice in a room. Without your laugh in my ears. And when I showed up at your door, I thought I was chasing closure. But I think I was chasing the version of me that only exists with you. My throat ached. Stop saying the right things. Why? Because I might start believing them. Maybe you're supposed to. Not yet, I whispered. Not until it hurts less. She looked down. Her voice trembled. Then I'll wait until it doesn't. We stayed out there until the sun rose. She made coffee. I didn't correct her when she used too much sugar. On the 4th day, she cleaned my shelves without asking. I watched her dust my books with care like they were sacred. Like my space was holy. You're nesting, I teased. I'm existing, she said. In a world where I get to be close to you again, even if I don't deserve it. And if the week ends, then I'll thank you for giving me the only version of peace I've had in 2 years. I wanted to kiss her. I wanted to hate her. I wanted both at once. That night, we watched an old movie. One we used to quote. One that still had a love scene that made my chest tight because I remembered how we used to touch each other under those lines.
She didn't try to hold me.
But when the lead actress whispered, "I never stopped wanting you," I felt her breath hitch. I looked over. Her eyes were already on me. And for the first time, since she walked back into my life, I almost leaned in, almost kissed her again, almost forgot what it cost me. But I didn't. I just whispered, "Go to bed, Sophia." And she did, without a word, without protest. But her eyes begged me to stop fighting what we both still felt burning beneath our skin. The air between us had changed.
Thicker. Heavier.
Like every breath we took carried a word we hadn't said yet. Like every time we were in the same room, our bodies remembered something we weren't letting ourselves feel. She was quiet that morning. Not distant, just still. She moved around my kitchen like she belonged in it now. Knew where the mugs were, how I liked my eggs, how I didn't drink coffee past noon. She'd stopped asking. She just did things. Quietly. Carefully. Like she thought if she moved gently enough, I wouldn't notice how close she was getting to my life again. But I noticed. God, I noticed. "Why are you being so quiet today?" I asked, leaning on the counter. She glanced over her shoulder. "I don't want to say the wrong thing. So you've chosen silence? For now." I crossed my arms. "That doesn't feel like you. Maybe I'm trying to be someone you'd let stay." That hit harder than I expected. "You're already here. But you haven't let me in," she said, voice soft. "Not really." I looked away. "That's not what this week was about." "Then what was it about?" she asked, turning fully now. "Penance? Closure? Watching me try and fail to win you back. It was about seeing if you were serious. And I don't know yet." She stepped closer, slowly. "What do I need to do to prove it?" "Stop trying so hard." "You think I'm trying?" Her voice cracked. "I've been surviving, every second of this, terrified that I'll say one more wrong thing, and you'll throw me out for good. And you think being small makes it easier for me to forgive you?"
"No," she said.
"But maybe it'll make you miss me." I stared at her. "I've never stopped missing you." Her breath caught. "Then why does it feel like I'm the only one bleeding here?" "Because I bled for 2 years," I said. "And you didn't even look." "I looked," she snapped, stepping even closer. "I looked every time your name came up on a list, and they said no because of what happened on my set. I looked every time I walked into a theater and wondered if you were sitting in the dark, hating me from the shadows. I looked every time I touched someone else and couldn't stop thinking of how you tasted." I swallowed hard. My spine straightened. "You don't get to say that." "Why?" "Because it makes it harder." "Maybe I want it to be hard," she said. "Because maybe that's the only way it feels real. Maybe the pain is the only part one still believe." My hand moved before I could stop it. I grabbed her wrist, held it tight. She gasped. Her eyes locked on mine. "You want pain?" I whispered. "You already gave me enough." "Then give it back," she breathed. "Hurt me." I pulled her closer, not to hurt her, but because I needed to feel her, needed to know if what I remembered was still there. Her body collided with mine like it never wanted to leave again. I pressed her against the counter, my mouth inches from hers. "I told you not to touch me," I said. "And I didn't," she whispered. "You touched me first, and it was true." My hand on her, my mouth hovering, my pulse racing. I let go like I'd been burned, backed away fast. "Get out of the kitchen." "Why?" "Because I can't think with you this close." "Then stop thinking." "I'm serious."
"So am I," she said.
"I want you to stop pretending you don't want me back." "I don't." "Then why are your hands shaking?" I didn't answer. She stepped forward again, but slower, gentler. "Tell me you didn't want that kiss the other night." Silence. "Tell me you didn't wake up this morning wishing I was still in your bed." More silence. "Tell me," she whispered, That you don't still love me. My chest ached. My throat closed. Don't say that. Why not? Because it's not fair. Nothing about us has ever been fair. You ruined me. And I'll spend the rest of my life making it right if you let me. It's not that simple. Then make it complicated, she said. But let it be real. Her hand came up, stopped just before my cheek. She didn't touch. She waited for me to move,
To lean in.
to close the distance. And I wanted to. I wanted to so damn badly. But instead, I whispered, "Not yet." She nodded.
Slowly.
Her hand dropped, but her eyes stayed on mine. Then I'll wait. And when she turned and walked out of the kitchen, I realized I was still trembling. Not because I wanted to touch her again, but because I almost had. I avoided her all day. Not dramatically. Not with slammed doors or loud silences. But in the quiet, subtle ways you keep someone from slipping under your skin again. I stayed out longer than usual. Took the train 2 stops past my own just to walk alone. Got groceries I didn't need. Called people I hadn't talked to in weeks. Anything to remind myself that I had a life outside of her orbit. That there was a version of me who didn't ache every time she stood in the same room. But when I got home and heard the shower running, everything cracked again. I froze in the doorway. The sound of the water. The steam spilling under the bathroom door. The shirt she'd worn, my shirt, draped over the back of a chair. And my body reacted before my brain could stop it. My chest tightened. My fingers twitched. My mind flooded with images I'd tried to bury. I hated that I could still feel her mouth on mine. Hated that I remembered the way she sounded when she whispered my name in the dark. Hated that even now, with all the pain she left behind, part of me still wanted to open that door and climb into the water with her. I didn't, but I thought about it. And that was almost worse. She came out a few minutes later, hair damp, cheeks flushed from the heat. She wore my shirt again. No pants. Just bare thighs and tension. Her eyes met mine across the room. I looked away first. "Long day?" she asked. "Quiet," I said. "You disappeared." I needed air. And did the air help? Not really. Because I'm still here? Because I don't know how to breathe when you're this close.
She didn't speak. Just stood there.
Watching me like she always did. Like I was something she remembered tasting in another life. "You said you'd wait," I said, voice low. "I am." "Then stop looking at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you want to touch me." "I do." "Then don't." "I won't." A pause. A heartbeat. "Unless you ask me to." I turned to face her. She was barefoot now, toes curling into the carpet, fingers gripping the edge of the chair like she didn't trust her body to stay still. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. "Because I meant it," she said. All of it. The apology, the regret, the love I never said out loud. You don't get to say that word like it belongs here. It always belonged here. Then why didn't you fight for me? Her breath caught. Because I was afraid of what I'd do if I let myself want you fully. And now I know I can't stop. The room pulsed around us. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. She walked to the table, picked up a script I'd left half-read. Ran her fingers over the cover like she was tracing something sacred. "You could have had this," she said softly. "That part. That project. That life. And I'm the reason you didn't. Don't do that." "Do what?" "Try to turn this into some kind of tragic poetry. You didn't just take an opportunity from me. You took the belief that I deserved one." Her throat moved. "I know. You took the best part of me and fed it to a room full of men who didn't care if I ever worked again. And I've hated myself for that every single day." "Good." I stepped forward. "Because you should." "But I still love you," she said. "Even if I ruined everything." "Then why are you still here?" I whispered. "Because you let me be." Her voice broke. "Because I still look at you and see the only thing I ever got right, even when I got it so wrong." I didn't think. I moved.
Fast.
I grabbed her wrist.
She gasped.
I pressed her back against the wall, My hand flat beside her head, breath hot between us. Do you want me to kiss you? I asked. Always. Do you want me to forgive you? Only if it's real. It'll never be clean, I whispered. I know. It'll always hurt. So hurt me. Her lips were parted. Her chest rose fast. My hand slid up to her throat, not tight, just enough to feel her pulse. Her breath hitched. Tell me to stop, I said. No, say it. Don't stop. I kissed her. And this time it wasn't gentle. It was raw,
Desperate.
full of everything we'd buried under silence. Her hands gripped my shirt like she didn't care if it tore. My mouth moved over hers like I was punishing her for every moment I'd wanted her and couldn't have her. She moaned.
Loud. Real. Needy.
I pulled back just long enough to see her eyes. Say it again, I said. I want you, she breathed. More than anything. No, I growled. Say the other thing. I love you. I kissed her again. Harder. Then I pulled her shirt off. And she let me. Not because I was in control, but because we both knew control didn't matter anymore. Only this. Only us. Only the ache that had lived too long in the space between our bodies.
We didn't speak again that night.
Only touched. Only breathed. And when I held her after, our skin damp, her head on my chest, she whispered, I'll never stop saying it, even if you never say it back. And I didn't answer. Not yet. But I held her tighter than I ever had. And that was almost enough. She was still beside me when the sun broke through the blinds, one arm thrown over my stomach like she belonged there. Her breathing was soft, steady, like the kind you only fall into when you think you're safe. I wasn't sure when I'd fallen asleep, only that I had. With her breath warm on my shoulder, her hand twitching every now and then in her sleep like her body was still remembering the way I held it down the night before. I stared at the ceiling for a long time, feeling the weight of her, the heat, the scent of her skin still clinging to the sheets. And all I could think was, this wasn't part of the plan. She was supposed to stay the week, stay distant, stay away from everything she used to mean to me. But now she was here, pressed against my side like a promise no one asked for, and I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I didn't just want her. I still loved her. And that scared the hell out of me. I slipped out of bed carefully, not waking her, and went to the kitchen. I needed space.
Air. Coffee.
Something to ground me in a reality that wasn't her mouth on mine or her voice whispering, I love you, like it was a sin she was finally ready to commit. I was pouring the second cup when she padded into the room, barefoot, quiet, my shirt from yesterday hanging too low on her frame. She rubbed her eyes like a child, like a woman who hadn't slept deeply in years. When she saw me, her smile cracked through her defenses. Small. Vulnerable. You made coffee, she said, like it was a miracle. Don't read into it, I replied. She walked over slowly, her body still soft with sleep. Too late. I handed her the mug. Our fingers brushed. I flinched. She didn't. We should talk, I said. We will, she replied, sipping. But not yet. Why not? Because I don't want to say the wrong thing before I've said the right ones. And what are the right ones? She looked up, eyes dark, quiet, honest. I miss you. Every version of you. Even the angry one. She's the only version I've been for 2 years. I know. You made me her. And now I want to help you come back from her. Don't say that like it's easy. It's not. But it's possible. If you let me try. I'm not ready to fall again, I said. You already did. Her voice was gentle. Last night you didn't pull away. That wasn't love. No, she said, stepping closer. But it was something. It was history. It was real. She reached for my face. I turned before she could touch me. Don't. Even now. Especially now. Because you're afraid of what comes after? Because I don't trust myself with you. Then let me carry the weight this time, she whispered. You carried it alone before. Let me hold it with you now. You say that like it doesn't still hurt, does it? I looked at her. Every time you look at me like I'm still yours. You never stopped being mine, she said. You just forgot what it felt like. Don't say things you can't back up. Then let me prove it.
How?
Come with me.
What?
To the studio. Are you serious? Yes. She stepped closer. I want you to see where I work now, who I've become. I want you to sit in that room, beside me, in front of people who know exactly what happened between us, and I want them to see you. With me. No shame. No hiding. Nothing but truth. You want to parade me like a trophy?
No, she said.
I want to show them that I'm choosing you now in the open. That I lost you once, and I'm not willing to do it again just because it's uncomfortable. I stared at her. That's dangerous. So is love, she whispered. So is silence. So is pretending I don't fall asleep now thinking about your voice and wondering if you still hum when you fold laundry. My chest cracked. You remember that? I remember everything. Then you remember how it ended. I remember how it broke, she said. But not how it's supposed to end. Maybe we get to write that part now. Together. And what if I say no? Then I'll leave, she whispered. And I'll mean it this time. But I'll walk away knowing I said everything. And if I say yes? She stepped closer. Our foreheads nearly touching. Then we see if there's still something worth saving between us. Her hand hovered near mine. Not touching. Waiting. Again. Like she always did. And this time, I didn't move. I didn't flinch. I let her fingers brush mine. And I closed my eyes. Just for a second. Just long enough to remember what hope felt like. The car ride was quiet. Not heavy, not like before, but filled with that kind of silence that lives between people who are choosing not to run anymore. She didn't reach for my hand, even though it sat inches from hers on the leather seat. I didn't ask her to, but I kept glancing at her fingers like maybe, if I looked long enough, she'd find the courage to do what she'd promised. Hold me like I belonged in her life, not just in her sheets. The studio was across the city. Sleek, modern, glass everywhere. The kind of place you walked into and immediately felt watched. I hesitated just outside the door, pulse ticking in my throat. She stopped too, turned toward me, her face soft. We don't have to go in. Yes, we do, I said. Because if we turn around now, we'll both keep pretending this only matters when no one's watching. She nodded once, then pushed the door open. The front desk girl looked up, smiled too politely, and then looked at me. And I saw it, the flash of recognition, the shift in her expression, the tension. She didn't say anything, but her silence was loud enough to echo. We walked through the halls, and I felt the stares. Soft, sharp, curious, afraid to ask what they already suspected. That I was the one, the girl from 2 years ago, the talent who vanished without a trace after creative differences, the name that never got spoken aloud after the press release. And now I was back, in her shadow, but very much visible. Sophia walked beside me like she felt it too, her jaw tight, her steps precise. But then, just as we passed a small group of assistants, she did it. Her hand found mine. Soft, careful, and stayed there. Just enough pressure to say, yes, it's her. Yes, I want her here. Yes, I'm not hiding it anymore. The conversations behind us stopped. I didn't look back, but I heard the shift in the air, and I felt my own heart stop beating for one terrifying second. She led me into the soundstage, massive, quiet, and lit by high windows. I stood near the edge, unsure of where to put myself. She turned to face me. This is where I lost you, she said quietly. Right here. That chair. That table. That script. I looked around. My chest ached. I could still hear the echoes of my own voice reading lines into a silence that never clapped back. Why bring me here? Because this is where I want to rewrite it. A few producers walked in. Her team. People who used to call me by my first name until it wasn't safe to anymore. One of them gave me a tight smile. Another avoided my eyes. Sophia stood taller. This is her, she said to no one in particular, or maybe to all of them. The one I let go. The one I never should have let go. I froze. The words hit harder than I expected. The room stilled. No one spoke. But something in the air shifted. Respect?
Shame?
Fear? I didn't know. I didn't care. Because her hand was still in mine. And she hadn't let go. "I'll be just a minute," she said softly, turning toward her director's chair. "You can sit. Or stay with me. Whatever feels right." I stood. Watched her command the space like only she could.
Head high.
Voice clear. Notes direct. But something was different now. The sharpness was still there, but the ice wasn't. She kept looking at me, checking that I was still breathing.
Still here.
And every time she did, I felt it again. The pull, the past, the thing between us that had never really broken, just bruised. One of the newer crew members offered me coffee. Called me miss. I thanked her. My voice didn't shake.
Much.
Sophia wrapped the scene early. Her eyes never left me as she walked back over. "Want to see my office?" she asked. I followed her down the corridor into a room that was all clean lines and dim light. She closed the door. Turned slowly. "You okay?" she asked. "You told them," I whispered. "You showed them." I told the truth. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to." I stepped closer. "They're going to talk." "Let them." "They're going to hate me." "Then they never liked me to begin with." "This could ruin you." "Then ruin me." She stepped even closer. "I'll rebuild. But I won't do it without you." I touched her face. Her breath caught. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I love you," she said. "And I finally understand that means choosing you even when it's hard." "Say it again." "I love you." Louder. "I love you," she breathed. And this time, when I kissed her, I didn't stop. And I didn't hide. And neither did she. We weren't even back for 24 hours before someone made it known they weren't happy about my presence. It came quiet like they always do. A message through someone else. A soft suggestion that it would be cleaner if I didn't show up again. That optics mattered. That perception was everything in this industry. Sophia read the message in front of me. Her jaw clenched. Her fingers tightened on the phone until her knuckles went white. Then she looked at me, and for a second, I thought she might fold. I saw it in her face. That old fear. The one that made her pull away before. But then something else flickered behind her eyes.
Fire.
And I knew. This time, she was different. She stood, silent, and walked out of the room. I followed.
She didn't tell me not to.
Down the hallway, into the production suite, where 3 producers sat around a conference table like they hadn't just tried to erase me again.
She didn't sit.
She didn't blink. She dropped the phone on the table and said, "Don't ever send me shit like that again." One of them raised an eyebrow. "Sophia, let's be rational." "No," she snapped. "Let's be honest. You didn't want her here before, because you thought I was too close. Too compromised. And guess what? I was. I am. And I don't care anymore." They exchanged looks. One leaned forward. "It's not about that. It's about keeping things quiet." "You want quiet?" she said, voice low and dangerous. "Then you should have kept my name off the director's chair. Because when you ask for me, you get all of me. And that includes the woman I'm in love with." I felt the breath leave my lungs. The room went still. No one spoke. No one even pretended to hide the shock. "You'd really risk this project for her?" one of them asked. "I'd risk everything," she said. "And if that's a problem, then let me make your job easier." She reached for the resignation letter she'd printed months ago, the one she told me she kept in her desk drawer just in case she ever had to walk away on her own terms. She pulled it out and set it on the table.
Calm. Clean.
Final. "I'll walk," she said. "But she's not going anywhere. You don't get to erase her twice." I stepped forward. My heart was pounding. "Sophia," I said, voice low, "you don't have to do this for me." She looked at me, and her eyes, God, her eyes. "I'm not doing it for you," she said. "I'm doing it because I want to be the woman who deserves you." My throat closed. The silence stretched. Then one of the producers cleared his throat. "Nobody's asking you to walk," he said. "We just need time to adjust." Then adjust faster, she said. Because I won't apologize for who I love. Not this time. She reached for my hand right there. In front of all of them. She laced our fingers together. Firm, proud. We're done here, she said, and turned with me still in her grip. We didn't speak until we were back in her office. She sat down hard, like the adrenaline had finally let go. I stood in front of her, stunned. You are willing to throw it all away, I said. For me.
No, she said.
For us. I dropped to my knees in front of her, cupped her face in both hands. You just did what I've been waiting 2 years to see. I meant it, she whispered. Every word. You fought for me. I will fight for you, she said. Every damn day, if I have to. And when I kissed her that time, it wasn't angry or desperate. It was grateful. Full of something bigger than either of us. It tasted like truth. Like finally. Like love with the lights on. I pressed my forehead to hers. Our breaths tangled. Do you know what that meant? I asked. Yes, she said. It meant we don't go back to the shadows. And we don't, I said. Ever again. She nodded, pulled me onto her lap, held me like I was her anchor now, like I'd become the only thing keeping her steady in the storm she finally dared to stand in. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. The air was still when we got home. Not quiet in the uncomfortable way, not like before. It was peaceful, earned. Her coat slipped off her shoulders as she walked in ahead of me, dropping her bag on the floor like the weight of it didn't matter anymore. Her heels came off next. Then she turned to look at me, barefoot, hair loose, love in her eyes, and I knew something had changed. You were willing to lose everything today, I said softly. I didn't lose anything, she replied. Not if I get to keep you. I stepped closer. You didn't even blink. I was terrified, she said. But the second they asked me to choose between what I built and the one thing that ever felt real, the decision was easy. I reached for her hand. Say it again. I choose you. And tomorrow?
You.
The day after that?
You.
The month after that? She smiled. Still you. I pressed our foreheads together, our breaths melting between us. I never thought I'd get this, I whispered. Not with you. Not after what happened. You deserved it then, she said. You deserve it now. I just had to become someone who could finally give it to you. I kissed her.
Gently. Slowly.
And when she pulled me against her, it wasn't lust that took over. It was safety. It was truth. We undressed each other without rushing, without desperation. Just skin and memory and the knowledge that this time it wasn't going to disappear in the morning. When I traced my fingers over her ribs, she exhaled like she was being forgiven with every touch. When she kissed down my neck, I let her linger. When she whispered my name, I let it echo. And when we made love on the couch, then the floor, then against the window where the light poured in through half-closed blinds, I gave her everything I'd been too scared to give again. After, we lay tangled, her hand resting over my chest like she needed to feel the rhythm of my heart to believe this was real. I still wake up afraid you're not going to be here, she said. I'm not going anywhere. Swear it. I don't need to swear it, I said. I'm here.
Now.
And I'm staying. She was quiet for a long time. Then she sat up, reached for something in her coat pocket. My heart stumbled. I watched as she pulled out a ring. Not flashy, not polished. Just simple.
Silver. Honest.
I bought this the night I showed up at your door, she said. I was drunk. I didn't even know what I was thinking. But I held on to it. She looked up at me, eyes glassy. And now I know exactly what I'm thinking. My breath hitched. She got down on one knee. No audience. No lights. Just her and me and the silence that used to be a wall, now a bridge. I don't want another life where you're a secret or a regret or a ghost, she said. I want this one. This messy, painful, perfect one. With you. Every day. Every version. Even the angry ones. I laughed. I cried. I whispered her name like it was the only word I still remembered. And when she held the ring out with shaking hands, I dropped to my knees too. Yes, I whispered.
Yes.
God, yes. She slipped it on my finger. It fit like it had always belonged there. We kissed. We cried. And we held each other like the storm had finally passed. Like we were still wet from the rain, but standing in the sun. The next morning, she told the world. Posted a picture. Captioned with 2 words. She said yes. Comments exploded. Headlines came. But none of it mattered. Because that night, as I sat curled against her on our balcony, watching the city blink around us, she turned to me with that familiar look in her eyes. The one that once meant danger, then desire, then devastation, and now, finally, it meant something else. Home. I ruined your career once, she said. No, I replied. You gave me something better.
What?
I kissed her. A love story worth surviving for. And this time, I wasn't just hers in secret. I was hers forever. Thank you so much for your support, whether it's by liking, commenting, sharing, or sending your super thanks. You make all the difference here on the channel. See you in the next video.